Okay, in this video, we're going to be going over how to write values to tags inside of Influx using ECG's Excel Add In for InfluxDB. To start, I've already got a sheet started here. As you can see, it's an XLSM, which just means it is a macro-enabled worksheet since we're dealing with VBA here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Now, I have gone ahead and created the tags. This is actually the same sheet that I used to create the tags, and we're just going to be using this same sheet to write to the tags and just change their value. So there's a couple tweaks we need to make. I guess the first being these qualities are set to false. I just did this that way we could actually see the value change. So if I were to go get the current value for some of these tags, we'll just do all of them, and we'll spit that out right here. You can see that they're all bad data because I created these tags with a false quality point. To fix that, all you have to do is put true here. Okay. And you can set this this sheet up in any which way you want. These values do not have to be right next to each other. They could be on separate sheets. They could be, one could be down here, one could be up there. It's really all dependent on how you set your VBA up, which we'll go over in a second, how I set mine up and why I have it like this. So let's move on to looking at the VBA. So we'll go ahead and go over to developer and then hit Visual Basic, and then it will bring up this page, which is where you'll go. The VBA will already be since the tags have been created. It'll most likely be in a module under here. It may not be named module 1. You can rename these. I just left it as the default name. So let's go ahead and go through some of what this is doing real quick. Here's our method name, write data on sheet. And all I'm doing is grabbing some Excel variables. This is where all of the influx methods live inside of VBA functions. Here I'm setting what worksheet we're going to be using. As you can see, my worksheet name is still set to the default, sheet 1. You can change that. You just have to make sure your VBA knows that. So if you change it, this is where it would go. And then I'm also selecting the range of cells that I want to loop through. So what that means is, since I have all of my data right here next to each other, I'm just giving it the range from A2 to A7, and I'm saying you need to go here first and loop through all of these values, and then come here and go through all of these values, and so on and so forth until we've reached the end. So that's all that's doing. And here's the beginning of the for each loop. And oops, these aren't indented. It should be indented all the way down. Okay, so the beginning of the loop, we have a couple more variables. This influxData.VBA tag object is where all of the properties will go for the tag. We're currently not interested in the properties. However, we're still going to read them in, and we're still going to set the description, set the engineering unit, set the zero, set the span. You don't have to do that. If you don't want to write those values every time, like I said, we're just writing a value here. We're not creating tags. We're not editing tag properties. We're not doing any of that. So if you want to just leave the script the way it is, that way you can both create tags and create values with it without changing it. All you have to do is change this true to a false. This property is called update custom properties, and what it'll do is it'll write all of the non-value related properties. So the description, the engineering unit, the zero, the span, and the digital set. So if you do not want to edit any of those or update any of those, make sure this is set to false, or just don't read the values in. If they're left null or empty, nothing will be written. So, but basically what I'm doing here in this loop is going and getting the tag object. We're getting the tag name, which is the first cell. And then we're getting the timestamp, and I'm using an offset to just go over from the tag name to the timestamp, right? And then there'll be another offset to go over here and another one to go there, so on and so forth. So as you can see, offset 2, 3, 4, all the way down. And then we simply just plug in all of our values. So we plug in the tag object, which contains all of the properties, like I said. This is a root path or a connection name. If you aren't writing to the default database, you'll want to enter this in. If you're always writing to the default database, then you can leave this blank, just like I have. We're entering in our value. We're entering in our timestamp, our quality, and we are not writing the custom properties inside of this tag object. Okay? And so once one loop repeats, it'll go through and do the next. And then eventually we'll get a message box that says done. Now you can find the same exact method in the user manual. I can actually show you where it will be. If you go over to About or Help and click that, it will bring up a PDF. And you can scroll down to VBA functions and go to writing function VBA. And here's all of the information on this method, showing you the same example that we're going through. And then also it has a copy of this VBA function here for you. So now that we're ready to write, I'm actually going to create a little button to write. That way we don't have to go over to the editor every time here. So to do that, you'll go into the Developer tab and you'll go to Insert, and you can click this little button right here. And then you just drag, boop, and you can click the method name. Okay, and now you've got a button. So if you click this button, it will actually run that VBA script. You'll get a message box saying it's done. And then you'll have all of these values written to the database. And to confirm, we can come up to here and hit update, which will update this current value function. And there you go. That is one way to write values to Influx using this add-in. Now there's one other way I wanted to mention that doesn't involve VBA whatsoever. And it's using this create template. So if you drop this down, you have two options. You could create a tag template, or you can create a value template. Now, creating a tag template will write the value one time, but it will only allow you to create tags. So once the tag is created, you cannot continuously add values to that tag through this template. You'll have to create a value template to add values further after creating. So we'll go ahead and click that. It will create an entirely new sheet called value template for InfluxDB. Do not change the name of this sheet, because that is how the add-in knows what data to write and where the data is. So now we just need to fill in our tag names, timestamps, values, and qualities. So I'll go ahead and just grab the tag names here. And we can paste those there. And now we want to update the values for all of these. So I'm going to put an X in all of these to signify that, yes, we want to write these. If we didn't want to write, say, the digital one, we could delete that and just leave it like that, and it would skip over this entire row. So we're going to leave that in for now. We need some timestamps. Another thing to note with timestamp section is if you leave this blank, it will actually just default to right now. So there's no need to fill it out if you want to default to now, but you can also, put in today or yesterday, or just type whatever date you want. We're going to use now. That way we can actually see the values update in real time. Copy and paste that. And then for a value, for Unix time, again, I just like using now, or maybe we'll use today. So it'll write today's date at midnight. For Boolean, we're going to write false point, you just need to write false. This can also be a 1 or a 0, 1 being true, 0 being false. Digital, I believe our digital state only has 3 items, so the only options here would be 0, 1, or 2. So I'm going to go with a 2. For the float, we'll just write 1,000. The integer, could write 100. And then the string, we'll write ECG plus InfluxDB. And then again, for the quality, we will want a good quality for all of this data. If you do not put a quality, it is going to default to false, which will write a bad data point. So please make sure that if you want good quality data, put true here. So once you have all of this set, you can go ahead and hit the commit button. This will push whatever is on your active sheet, whatever you're looking at the time being, whether it's a value template tag, a create or a tag template, create tag template, or the edit tag page. It will write that. So we're going to hit commit. It's going to ask you if this is the database or connection name that you would like to write to. In our case, it is. So I'm going to select yes. And you'll get a little message box saying it was complete. And then we can go back over to sheet 1 and we can update this current value function, and you can see the values update. We've got today at midnight. We've got a false point. We have, this is really a value of 2, but since it's a digital set, it's going to tripped. We have 1,000, 100, and ECG plus InfluxDB. So I hope that was a helpful little tutorial on how to write data. It's relatively easy, especially once you create the sheet and get it up and running. I can save this, close out of it, come right back in and, update the values, hit a button, and, you can push them right to the database. So hopefully this answers some questions and taught you guys something new. Thank you.